Hi, I'm David Fetter, Executive Editor Technical for Prepared Foods Network, and this is Reasoned Opinion, an editorial series on trends in the food, beverage, nutrition, and ingredient industries. Just so you know, the opinions presented in this series are subjective and solely my own, and not necessarily those of any staff, administration, or owners of BNP Media, Inc. I recently returned from the Natural Products Expo West show in Anaheim, and the show was a good one this year. The organizers did a fantastic job. The only thing I would change is, please stop holding these on weekends. Just stop doing it. Right. As I mentioned, it was quite a good show. And so, without further kvetching, here are the foods, beverages, ingredients, and trends that stood out the most to me. I'll start with the ingredient trends, and mushrooms were popping up everywhere. It seemed as if every third booth had something with mushrooms in it. Dried mushrooms, mushroom jerky, mushroom nutraceuticals, mushroom tea, mushroom coffee, coffee with mushrooms, mushrooms everywhere. About 10 years ago, when I predicted that mushrooms as an ingredient, especially as a better for you ingredient due to their nutraceutical traditions, when I predicted that they would take off, even I didn't imagine how comprehensively and ubiquitously they would be in the marketplace in foods and beverages. So I think they've only got a chance to just keep going up. Another ingredient that was pretty much everywhere was coffee. This is definitely the year of coffee. I couldn't go 5 feet at the show without running into a coffee company, which was good. We needed the energy to get through that massive show. Produce. I also saw lots of produce in everything. And it was just amazing to see how much the plant-centered, produce-oriented concept is more or less returned to food and beverage product development. Especially big among produce were the tropicals. Well worth keeping an eye out for. Butter is back. It's coming out and it's flavored, it's smoked, it's compound, grass-fed. Even saw products where butter was included and marketed as the source of energy. I'm a big fan of butter. We have a saying in my house, everything's better with butter. So that was good to see too. Conspicuous in its, I'll say, near absence from the show, was protein. Not the ingredient, but the marketing of it in products. I even asked a breakfast bar maker why they were promoting their fiber content, of which they were only a moderate source, over their protein in their product, which was actually a good source of protein. And he told me flat out that fiber is what is resonating better with consumers right now. So, it's not that protein has disappeared. It's not that the protein trend is over. It's just that the consumers seem to be open to looking at more of the ingredients and the better for you ingredients in their products. Plant-based milk keeps growing and expanding. There were a lot of plant-based milks this year from seeds, grains, and nuts. Some of the standouts were pecan milk, corn milk, and barley milk. Dairy-free chocolate, still on an upward trajectory, and also chocolate with sweeteners other than sucrose. It was almost as if it was hard to find a sucrose-sweetened chocolate, but all very good products. And then, oddly, lupin beans. Saw many products with lupin beans. I've been waiting for those to take off. I know there are challenges with using products and ingredients derived from lupin beans, but they are a very good high protein and very sustainable ingredient. So it was good to see them. And then dates everywhere, everywhere, as ingredients, as a sweetener. It just seems like dates are finally really taking off. They've only been cultivated for about 12,000 years. It's good to see dates, date syrup. It was nice to see such a nice ingredient get so much traction this year. On the ingredients, speaking of sweeteners, I saw more products with allulose this year than in all the other years combined. So among all that allulose, there was one thing that stood out, and that was allulose derived from tapioca. It's a very clean flavored allulose, and like all allulose at only 0.2 to 0.4 calories per gram, it demonstrates the need for more processors to consider allulose for their low calorie formulations. There are many advantages of allulose. It's not 100% perfect for all formulations, but I'd give it a 99. And you can find out a lot more about allulose at preparefoods.com, where you'll find articles and videos and podcasts where we discuss allulose and other sweeteners. I'm going to jump now to the product trends. Cocoa pulp was being used as a healthful and flavorful beverage source and as a sweetener. Jerky was everywhere as a product. Jerky was very common and well represented at the show. It wasn't as much as the last few years, but still prominent. So there was turkey jerky, salmon jerky, mushroom jerky, back to the mushrooms, right? And there were a number of makers of the South African style biltong beef jerky. That's an air-dried, seasoned beef jerky. Waters. There was a flood of waters at the show. I saw chlorophyll water, brain water, sea moss water, and of course, some of the more popular waters that are just water in great marketing packages that have really taken off. I won't mention names. And then cheese. Cheese was very highly represented at the show this year. All shapes, all forms, all uses, as well as cheese analogs, among which there was an olive oil-based mozzarella from Good Planet Foods that was surprisingly impressive. Some products of note, bitters and mocktails, of course, were flourishing. And so too the non-alcoholic beverages, adult beverages, whatever you want to call them. I found Drink Sip's non-alcohol beer to be one of the best examples of the genre I've encountered. And lately, having a dad bod and all, I've been drinking a lot of non-alcoholic beer. So that's one to take note of. Now, remember I was just talking about cocoa pulp juice? Bev Cacao has a cocoa pulp juice beverage that was just out of this world. And I'm surprised that more product makers, beverage makers haven't used that. It was just refreshing. I would say that it stands a good chance of being the new coconut water. Keep an eye out on that one for sure. Some interesting ones that I found at once intriguing and amusing. Randy's artisanal grilled pickles. Those really got my attention. That's all I can say. I thought they were good. So if you like grilled pickles, they're out there. Corn milk, as I mentioned, we saw lots of milks from seeds and grains. There was a corn milk from the South African company Maisley that was very impressive. Great texture, great flavor, no chalkiness, only 3 ingredients, and holds up in hot coffee, which is a big issue for me. So I want to end with the product that blew me away the most. Voyage Foods, makers of nut-free spreads and bean-free coffee and other nut-free products, have knocked it way out of the park with its chocolate analog made with grape seed. No cacao in there, nothing even near chocolate, grape seed and shea butter. And it would pass any blind taste testing for the flavor, the texture, the meltability. It's just an amazing product. So I don't usually wax this effusively, but by gosh, they really did. I said they knocked it out of the park. They knocked it out of the park. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few. Hopefully, these highlights will provide an idea of how the show went this year, and it's back to where it was from pre-COVID days. And I can only see that it'll get better. It's well worth checking out next year. And it's also worth checking out some of our other highlights of the show at preparedfoods.com, especially our ethnobotanist, Carrie Hughes, has a video podcast that you'll want to see on the top the top uses of botanical ingredients in foods and beverages. So be sure to look that up at preparedfoods.com. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this subjective view of the Natural Products Expo West show. And I hope you'll tune in to further episodes of Reasoned Opinion, as well as all the offerings we have at preparedfoods.com. Articles, white papers, videos, infographics, recordings of our webinar series, which have been going really strong. I encourage you to go to preparedfoods.com and find all the information you need as food and beverage product developers and makers, and folks who are just food and beverage curious. Thank you, and until next time, this was David Fetter, Executive Editor Technical for Prepared Foods Network. See you then.